Welcome to Inside Outside, the educational podcast dedicated to everything that goes on inside and outside of the classroom, but especially focusing on artificial intelligence, or AI, and its impact on the classroom. My name is Jeff Bailey. I am an educator and a instruction and technology specialist, and I am here to help you navigate everything that's going on in your classrooms today and tomorrow. On this episode of Inside Outside, we're going to be looking at AI through the lens of fear. I've been talking to a lot of educators, and I think the overriding thing that most teachers, their reaction to AI is basically built upon that fear of what's going to happen with this new technology. And some people are so afraid they're not willing to try it. Others are, willing to go trepidatiously, I guess, into looking at AI, but they're just not sure how it's going to play out. And most people can't get beyond that fear. So if you've been teaching as long as I have, you've probably seen, some different iterations of things that have kind of shaken the game up. For educators like me, I've taught, or I've been in education probably 30 years. Really the big game changer for me was computers at the beginning of my career. And then in the 90s came about the internet and all of the resources that brought about. And so as an English teacher, I had to look at that. And for a lot of people, it was very scary because they saw that kids were going to be cheating and all the information was going to be online. But eventually people have adapted to those things. And I talked to a teacher who was older than me, and they talked about how when calculators came out, that was akin to, Satan had come back and was going to destroy the earth, and that was all of it for mathematics instructors. And now, of course, every kid has to have a calculator. It's a real-world tool that we're teaching them to use. And so that has been alleviated. That fear has been alleviated for all of those teachers. But I don't think any of those things is even on par with AI. And so the fear, I think, is real. But, the thing that surprises me, like I said, my conversations with teachers, is that we are over 1 year into AI, and educators seem to be a little bit slow afoot in using AI and adopting AI. And so I really wanted to talk a lot about a couple of those things, and then some things to alleviate those fears. When we talk about fear, no matter whether it's a horror movie or fear of change or fear of some new technology like AI, you can really look at it from three different factors that cause people to be fearful. The first one is that when you have a new technology, it's really unpredictable. And so one of the things that we know is that people don't like change. They don't like to not know how things are going to turn out. You can get people to do all kinds of things when they know how things are going to turn out. So AI really is that new of a technology. It really sort of like fell on us. And so I can understand that trepidation that teachers have about what is this going to do to my classes? What is it going to do to jobs? What is it going to do to our culture? And so, part of what we need to be doing in education is starting to have those conversations and really starting to think through those things and really do look at those what ifs. What if this, what's the worst case scenario? And then, of course, part of that is once we've considered all those scenarios, then we need to look at what exactly we're doing. And so for my teachers in particular, I've said, hey, you need to be looking at, this is what the technology does. And I've tried to give some introduction to them, but then you need to be looking at everything that you're doing. Look at all of your assignments, look at all of the lectures you're giving, all the materials you're creating, and decide, are those going to be able to outlast or beat AI? And I think sometimes when we face those fears head on and we just sort of really think about it and really evaluate those things, it takes away a little bit of the fear that people tend to have. So I would encourage every teacher and administrator out there to really be learning about AI, learning about its capabilities, learning about what its potential is, and then, of course, looking at everything they're doing and trying to really think about it through that lens. We can't put our heads in the sand like a lot of us want to do when it's looking at AI. Probably the biggest fear people have, and it's one that maybe they won't talk about, but it's a threat. When you talk about fear, there's always the threat of, the dark or somebody that's hiding in the shadows. But in this case, we know the technology. We've heard just enough about it to know that it can do a lot of the things that, teachers do. And I've had people say, oh, this is just going to replace me. It's going to take my position. AI is going to be able to do everything that I do. And I can understand the total thought process that goes into that. But, that is a loser's mentality. I hate to say it that way. And I read a quote that early on, over a year ago, that said, if we're not learning how to beat AI, we're only teaching AI how to beat us. And that's kind of been the idea that I live by as we've gone with this. But that threat to your job, while that's a real fear, I don't think that's very realistic. In fact, I think AI actually puts more benefit onto the role of teacher. It really makes you the expert. So AI can do a lot of things, but it has to be directed by somebody. And of course, if we teach our teachers how to use that technology, and we've been really working on that by having test drives and ways that they could try out AI in kind of a non-confrontational method, so that they could see how that technology works and how it can work for them. You still are going to need that person. You're going to need that human as part of the interaction. And, I tell my teachers every day, you are the expert in your subject matter. So, all of the flaws of AI and the things that it does, you are, you're the fact checker. You're the decider of what is good and what is bad that's created by AI. And so you're going to be that arbiter. Now, teachers have also appreciated some of the things as we've gotten them to try different things on AI, like how to write your different prompts and how to get the content that you want. One of the things they've really taken to heart is really starting to think about different aspects of their job that AI can alleviate. And, one of the things that's great about it is, as far as writing goes, and that's near and dear to my heart, kids can get more feedback and quicker using AI. A teacher, a human being living their life, can't give the type of feedback that really will be beneficial to kids. But I can see a world where AI really starts to create this idea where you're getting feedback on your grammar, or you're getting feedback on your concepts, or it could be punctuation. It could be really anything that the teacher puts in there. And then the student is taking that feedback, not a rewritten paper, but they're taking that feedback and then applying it. So there's so many potential things like that. AI can tutor students through different math problems. It can quiz them on content. So I don't think I don't think we have to be afraid of AI taking our jobs. But I do think we need to worry about if you're not learning about AI and you're not figuring out how you can use it, that it may take your job because you're not willing to keep your job. So keeping your job is going to mean learning about AI, thinking about how it can be applied. How can it make your job better? How can it make your education of your students better? All of those things are going to go into making, the teacher work-life balance better, but also they're going to make teachers more and more important. I think the last fear that teachers have is that AI is going to be a flash in the pan, or it's going to be a big waste of their time. And I think, that's one of the things we always want to, look at when we talk about fear, like, oh, it's not going to affect me, or it's not that significant of a thing, or that technology is just, garbage. It's going to be ruined. But one of the things that I think is important for schools to do for their teachers and with their teachers is, like my school has a person like me, and my job is really to kind of separate the garbage from the good tools. So we don't, necessarily want teachers having to spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out like what's a good tool and what's a bad tool, what's good for me to work with and what's not good for me to work with. And so, having instructional and technology specialists on staff really, I think, helps to say to teachers, here's some tools that you can use. We've checked those out. Here's how you can use it, how you can benefit, how your students can benefit. And that takes away that fear that learning this technology is going to be a waste of time, that it's not something that they necessarily need to do. And so, I think schools can go a long ways in alleviating those fears about, how unpredictable it's going to be, or, that they're going to lose their jobs, or, I think there's plenty of jobs that may be lost due to AI. If you've been in a store recently and seen the, the self-checkouts that can identify the item and scan it, and, even like a cup of soda, and you'll see one cashier that's just monitoring those 7 or 8 robot cashiers. I would say if you're a professional cashier, you're probably on your way out. Maybe you should be taking some training on how to program AI, or how to use AI. But and I also think that schools need to be making sure they have a way to make sure that teachers aren't wasting their time trying to decide what's good and what's bad. And people like me, we love to try new technologies, and we love to kind of figure out what's good and what's bad, and you get good at it. So those are really the three things when we look at fear. Next, I'd like to briefly talk about some of the success when you get people that go beyond that. So as part of my job, I work closely with teachers, and, just like everybody else, I have that broad spectrum of some teachers who are going to be the early adopters, and some are going to be I'm never going to change, and I'm never going to do that because it's outside of their comfort zone. But, one of the really great things about being a person in my position is when you get people to step out of their comfort zone and try something. And a lot of that comes from the value that you can help them see and what they want to do and working within their particular setup. And so one example of that is I have a math teacher that I've been working with, and he does a lot of stuff with something called a notebook. And if you're not a math teacher, you may not know what that is. But basically, they collect the work that they've done and the different handouts and so on before the test or in a unit. And he has the students turn those in on the day of the test. And of course, they then evaluate that, and they put it in the grade book. And on the same day, the kids are taking a test. And one of my struggles with that is that even though I know that he's a good teacher and he's giving them feedback in the classroom, there may be some of the things that he's missing, or maybe what he thinks they know they don't know. And so we've been trying to come up with a way to really make a good use of the notebook that he's giving, and to use that for some benefit. And so I started talking to him about having the kids do some reflection on that. And so I gave him a form. I said, here's a potential idea. It was kind of like, some of you might know what a wrapper is. But in this case, I said, it's kind of like a wrapper. It's like at the end of a unit, a kid can evaluate certain things. Well, so as I talked to him, I said, this is really something I think you could give your students before they turn in their notebook, or with their notebook, and get an idea of how the kids think they're doing, how they think they will do on the test, how they think they know on different concepts that you're doing in the chapter. And so he did that, and I said, and here's what I want you to do. When you're done with that, when you have the kids fill that out, and he did it on a Google form, we're going to take all the data that you've gotten from your students, and we're going to have you take that data and put it into AI, and then ask AI what that data says. And we separated it by class, and we did all kinds of questioning based on it. And then he did that before he gave the final review for the test. And so by having AI evaluate that data of 100 different kids, he was able to find out like the things they felt like they were struggling with, or some of the things that may have been happening. It actually gave him a list of students who thought they weren't going to do very well. And so there was so much data. He was so excited when we did it the first time, and it took so little time. And I was so excited about that because it really grabbed him and said, hey, this is something I could really use. And it sort of accomplished my goal of, getting him to kind of think about that notebook and think about reflection on the student's part, but also informing his instruction. Now, I'm even more excited to report that the second time he did it, his form was so much better because I think he knew exactly what he wanted. But he told me the other day that he had taken that data and put it in, and he asked AI to create a worksheet that was a review that they could go over in class, but which I thought was just cool and amazing. But the amazing thing that he went beyond that is he made one that was individualized for each of the 3 hours that he had of that particular class. So they really had individualized instruction. And for the teacher, it took him 5 minutes. 5 minutes of total time to create 3 unique worksheets based on information that the students had reported on their reflection. So that was a big victory. I felt like super, super happy about that. And I got to shout those things from the rooftops because that's exactly the type of thing that we should be doing. And it's actually why I'm so excited about the advent of AI as a teacher, because it really is going to push us to be better teachers and better instructors, and really use the data to really inform our instruction right now. Before I leave today, I have another teacher that I talked about. One of the teachers that was an English teacher, and she's kind of old school, and she hated the idea of AI. In fact, 1 week in us knowing about AI last year, she had given her kids an assignment that was an essay prompt for a college writing contest, and she had the kids turn them in, and we found 14 kids who were already using Chat GPT. And she was horrified, and it really just took that fear that she had and said, yeah, this is an actual thing, and your job's going to be eliminated, and, the world is over as far as that goes. And, that was the first inkling that, one, the stuff you give kids matters, because none of the kids really cared about the writing assignment. I think the writing assignment was like, what's your, what's the value of a college education? And it was written for a college essay. And so you're really it's really kind of a one-sided argument if you want to win that contest. But I think for her, it was the realization that, that prompt's not really good. It's really not something students are engaged in. So they're going to try to find an easy way to do it. And then we've had several conversations since over that time. And she's been a good example of how, you evolve and you really work on those relationships with people to kind of challenge them in their thinking. And she came around a few weeks ago. She came to me and said, I'm so excited that I had put my rubric in for, I had my students writing a sonnet analysis, and I had my rubric, and I had the students put it into Chat GPT, and it gave them feedback on their essays, and they were able to make changes based on that. And I was, like I said, those are things that, leave me kind of walking on air, trying to think about AI and what a game changer is going to be. For me, it's going to be how I'm going to get through the rest of my career. For some of you, it might be how you're going to get started, how you're going to become, super educators. That's really, the superpowers that we're looking for that are going to help you and help our students. So that's this week's episode of Inside Outside, the education podcast. For really everybody inside and outside the curriculum, to start examining some of the different things that are going on. I will be next week. I'm going to host one of my former high school students who's now a college professor. She's going to talk about AI's impact on the college classroom. I think that'll be really interesting to hear from a professor's viewpoint. And then the episode following that, I'm going to talk to students and find out what are the kind of things that students are doing with AI, and how they think it's going to change or what they think their teachers need to do. So hopefully you'll join me on that next episode, and I look forward to hearing from you. Please check me out on X at my username's at HeyBailey23, or you can email me at Jeff Bailey, that's JEFFBAILEY at grwestcatholic.org. I would love to hear from you and maybe talk to you on this show. So take care, have a great week, and I'll see you again.